Yeah, Shalom Israel. Before I start, I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, Waharaka Kadash, double honors to the elders and apostles in Israel who rule and teach well, the Akim, the Iris and Byways, and those pushing videos in truth and sincerity, to the brothers and sisters in the truth. Now, what I want to touch on quickly is this issue that's happening over in the US, this abortion thing. And these things are normally a distraction, they've approved abortion for years, which, shouldn't be happening anyway. It goes against our laws. The Most High don't want us to be doing these things. Like, there's nothing new on this. Let me quickly bring this out. This is Ecclesiastes 1 and 9. It says, the thing that has been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. So today we might call it abortion. Back in ancient times, it might have been done slightly different, but at the end of the day, what it boils down to is child sacrifice. And the Most High don't like these things, man. This is something which has been going on for a very long time. Number of our forefathers were practicing in this, and these things are still going on today. So, like I said, these things tend to be a distraction. Because at the end of the day, Esau has his plan on setting up a one order. He's looking to bring in the MOTB, and normally when things like these are going on, it's to distract you from things that they're doing under the quiet. I just want to touch on this slightly. So, what's happening in America now is they're looking to overturn the abortion rule. Yeah, it's called Roe versus Wade. So this article, it says, "Wake up, America! A decision on abortion rights could be the nightmare to shake the country from its slumber." And abortion in itself is a nightmare because it shouldn't be happening. As I said, it's something which goes against the Most High's laws. Goes against what we as a people should be doing. It's actually child sacrifice under another name, just like grave robbing. It's against the law to go and rob someone's grave unless you call it archaeology. Yeah. Now, under that term, you can go and rob someone's grave and you don't get done for it. It's the same thing with abortion. Yeah. It's just a name that's used now for child sacrifice, to make it a legal term. It says pro-choice activists across America are gearing up for the probable scenario that abortion rights, which have been in place for 50 years, will be snatched away this summer. A ruling known as Roe v. Wade legalized abortion nationwide in US in 1973. If it is overturned by the Supreme Court, 26 states are poised to immediately impose severe restrictions on abortion, affecting millions of women. And when you look at the rate that our women, black women and Hispanic women, have abortion, we have abortions at a higher rate than the other nations, and a lot of it is down to sexual immorality. Women sleeping around or men sleeping around with women, and not making these sisters your wife. In cases where it could be a case where the woman may want to keep the child and the man don't. And why might he not want to keep the child? Because he's probably got someone else, and that child coming forth now will be an hindrance or reveal what he's been doing. Or some people do it for career. Some women, they want to be that career woman. They have, get themselves pregnant, not intentionally. And I say not intentionally because at the end of the day, to not get yourself pregnant unintentionally, the best thing is to abstain from sex. This is why the Bible promotes marriage between a man, and even then, you will still get married couples who, have a child and have an abortion because they've got their career which they want to see to, and this kingdom is promoting this kind of wickedness. So it says earlier this week, a leaked document indicated the majority of US Supreme Court justices plan to support overturning the historic case law. Kate Kelly is a human rights lawyer and organizer of Shout Your Abortion, a network of individuals who promote talking about abortion to take away the stigma. Now, you said to take away the stigma, meaning, this really they're trying to desensitize people to having abortions. Says they also encourage women to learn about pills which are available to terminate a pregnancy and can be delivered in the post, and they're making it easier now, for these things to come about. It says they are trying to criminalize provision of medication abortion pills in many states, she says, but this court cannot stop us. And this is why the Most High has to get rid of this kingdom, because this kingdom is a wicked kingdom. It promotes all kind of sexual immorality. It promotes sisters dressing skimpier and skimpier. If you correct a sister these days for the clothing that she's wearing, if it's inappropriate, then you in turn becomes the bad guy. They have this thing where it's my body. I should be able to dress how I want or do what I want with my body. But at the end of the day, we're not ours, man. Bring this out quickly. We are not ours, man. We belong to the Most High. He's the creator. Ezekiel 18. This is Ezekiel 18 and 4. It says, behold, all souls are mine. And that is the point that I wanted. It says, all souls are mine. So we belong to the Most High. So, therefore, we can't do what we want with our bodies. He tells us how we should be keeping our bodies and what we should and should be doing with it. This is Psalms 24 and 1. It says, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. Letting you know that we are not ourselves. We don't own ourselves. We don't belong to ourselves. But, we are meant to be living according to how the Most High wants us. He is the potter. He is the creator. And he determines how the creation should be. And one of the things that we shouldn't be doing as the creation of the Most High is involving ourselves in abortion, or what would be known back in the day as child sacrifice. Yeah. Now this is a video I want to play. It says Roe vs. Wade leak suggests U.S. Supreme Court may overturn abortion law.
Abortion saves lives! Abortion saves lives!
Now, you hear the stupidity of that. Abortion saves lives. And majority of people that are having abortion, it's not a life or death situation in the sense of, if they don't abort the child, the mother might die. Not saying that is a reason why they should be doing that, but the majority of abortion is normally, like I said, because of sexual immorality. The sister was sleeping around, and she's got herself pregnant. She don't want the child, or a man was sleeping around, got a sister pregnant, and he don't want her to have the child. Yeah. Whereas if we follow what the Most High says, stop the sleeping around, these things would become less. It wouldn't be so prevalent amongst us as a people. Keep abortion safe, legal, and accessible. Yeah, this is why this kingdom has to go, man.
Both sides have come to make a stand at the foot of the US Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, whose very...
And this is saying, my body, my choice. This is what they're likely to believe. It's your body, therefore it's your choice. No, like the precepts I just read, we actually belong to the Most High.
Every purpose is to protect their rights and uphold the Constitution, yet which now stands accused of stripping those rights away.
Says abortion is healthcare. Now, the health of who are you caring for? The child itself has a right to life. Yeah. So there's no healthcare in abortion. But this is the madness that the society promotes, man. job specs slightly. Abortion is healthcare.
Accused of stripping those rights away.
Abortion is oppression.
America has woken up to a new reality today where a woman's ability to have an abortion in place for the past 50 years is set to no longer be a constitutional right and taken away by the very institution that enshrined those rights in the first place.
And I just pray for those in our nation who've chosen.
And this is a joke. She's praying, for those who have chosen to have an abortion. That's why the scripture says the most I hear of not sinners, man. Play that back.
Place.
And I just pray for those in our nation who've chosen abortion, Lord God.
Getting rid of Roe has been the ambition of conservative America for decades, and today it looks like they finally got their way.
We oppose abortion because it kills babies.
No,
We're all coming together to say that human rights should belong to all human beings, born or unborn.
What about the rights of women who want to choose to do with their body what they want to do?
Committing violence against a human being, an
Is that how
innocent,
you see it?
yes, abortion objectively is violence against a human being.
When Roe is no longer protected, that doesn't mean abortion is going to stop happening. It means safe abortions will stop happening.
Now, how is, safe abortion? Like, the child dies at the end of the day. A child is aborted. So how is that safe? It's like saying safe killing.
And we all know the cost of that.
Good evening. In a landmark ruling, the Supreme Court today legalized abortions.
A woman's right to choose was enshrined in a historic ruling, Roe versus Wade, nearly
So this one, man, let me done a bit. This is that Roe versus Wade. 1973 was a landmark decision of the U.S. Supreme Court in which the court ruled that the Constitution of the United States protects a pregnant woman's liberty to choose to have an abortion without excessive government restriction. The decision struck down many U.S. federal and state abortion laws. Roe fueled an ongoing abortion debate in the United States about whether or to what extent abortion should be legal, who should decide the legality of abortion, and what the role of moral and religious views in the political sphere should be. It also shaped debate concerning which methods the Supreme Court should use in constitutional adjudication. Yeah. It says that the decision involved the case of Norma McCorvey, known by the legal pseudonym Jane Roe, who in 1969 became pregnant with her third child. McCorvey wanted an abortion but lived in Texas. Now, this is her third child. She should have known by the third child how children come about, and not wanting a third child should have made steps, meaning kept her legs closed, to not have gotten herself pregnant in the first place. This is not acquitting the man, but ultimately it's the woman who, for want of a better word, is left carrying the can. So there's more of an onus on you to be mindful of how you actually keep your body, what you do with your body. It says, who in 1969 became pregnant with a third child. McCorvey wanted an abortion but lived in Texas, where abortion was illegal except when necessary to save the mother's life. Her attorneys, Sarah Weddington and Linda Coffey, filed a lawsuit on her behalf in U.S. federal court against her local district attorney, Henry Wade, alleging that Texas abortion laws were unconstitutional. A three-judge panel of the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Texas heard the case and ruled in her favor. Texas then appealed directly to the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, another fighter for this thing here, this woman here, Margaret Sanger. And really and truly, a lot of these things is really to affect our people. And I'm going to show you some stats in a minute, and you see that our people are at a higher rate of aborting our children, man. says Margaret Sanger devoted her life to legalizing birth control and making it universally available for women. Born in 1879, Sanger came of age during the heyday of the Comstock Act, a federal state that criminalized contraceptives. Margaret Sanger believed that the only way to change the law was to break it, and it says a federal state that criminalizes contraceptives, and the best contraceptive is not to have sex on. This is why the Most High don't condone whoredom, knowing that these things can come about. So starting in the 1910s, Sanger actively challenged federal and state Comstock laws to bring birth control, information, and contraceptive devices to women. A fervent ambition, and it goes back to what I was saying, like this society, if you see how it sexualizes our sisters even more so now than back before. So really and truly, a lot of men, when they're looking at sisters, they're not looking to say, well, you know what, this sister might make a good wife. They're looking at her on a sexual basis, because she's showing herself sexually. She's sexualized herself. It says, starting in the 1910s, Sanger actively challenged federal and state Comstock laws to bring birth control information on contraceptive devices to women. Her fervent ambition was to find the perfect contraceptive to relieve women from the horrible strain of repeated unwanted pregnancies. And the perfect contraception is to keep your legs closed. Don't sleep with no one you don't want a child with, or if you don't want to have a child in the first place. That is the best contraception. But like I said, this society promotes sexual deviance. If you're a man who sleeps around, you're deemed a stud. All these things. It says Sanger's commitment to birth control sprung from personal tragedy. One of 11 children born to a working-class Irish Catholic family in Corning, New York. At age 19, Margaret watched her mother die of tuberculosis. Just 50 years old, her mother had wasted away from the strain of 11 childbirths and 7 miscarriages. Facing her father over her mother's coffin, Margaret lashed out. "He calls this mother's dead from having too many children." Well, like I said, the best way of preventing these kind of things is to keep the legs closed. The men not to lay with the women. Now, when you look at this stats here, it says race, ethnicity, and differences in contraception among low-income women. Methods received by Family Pack clients, California, 2001 to 2007. It says the extent to which racial and ethnic differences in method choices are associated with financial barriers is unclear. It's not clear. Understanding these associations may provide insight into how to address racial and ethnic disparities in unintended pregnancies. And I have to say again, the best way to prevent unintended pregnancies is not to have sexual intercourse. Claims data from the Californian Family Pack program, which provides free family planning service to low-income residents, were used to determine the proportions of women receiving each type of contraceptive method in 2001 to 2007 by variate and multivariate analyses were performed to identify association between women's race and ethnicity and the primary contraceptive method they received in 2007. Now, which one is it? What's this? Yeah, so here says abortion in women of color, the bigger picture. And this is 2008. Says this much is true. In the United States, the abortion rate for black women is almost 5 times that for white women. Yeah. It says down here, disparities in abortion rates, a public health approach. Let me go on this quickly. As women of lower socioeconomic status than women of color in the United States have higher rates of abortion than women of higher socio-economic status than white women. Opponents of abortion use these statistics to argue that abortion providers are exploiting women of color and low socio-economic status, and thus regulations are needed to protect women. This argument ignores the underlying cause of the disparities, as efforts to restrict abortion will have no effect on these underlying factors and instead will only result in more women experiencing late abortions or having an unintended childbirth. They are likely to result in worsening health disparities. We provide a review of causes of abortion disparities and argue for a multifaceted public health approach to address them. Now, there's one also. Comment says, in the United States, with low-income women and women of color having higher rates than affluent and white women, in 2008, the abortion rate for non-Hispanic white women was 12 abortions per 1,000 productive age women, compared with 29 per 100 for Hispanic women and 40 per 100 for non-Hispanic black women. Yeah. There's another one I saw. So they're perceiving and addressing the pervasive racial disparities. Black women have been experiencing induced abortions at a rate nearly 4 times that of white women for at least 3 decades. So you can imagine the amount of babies that our women have been killing over the years, man. Look at this. Of the estimated 400,000 teenagers who had abortions in 1988, 1,300 were younger than 15. Anyway, these things, anyway, like I was saying, it's not what our sisters should be partaking in or brothers should be condoning. Best contraception is not to have sex at all. Then everyone's safe all around. This is Leviticus 18:3. After the doings of the land of Egypt, when ye dwelt, shall ye not do. After the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, you shall not do. Neither shall ye walk in their ordinances. So just because these nations or this kingdom promotes and condones these kind of acts, we as a people should not be partaking, man. You know, it's the same thing as back in the day, just under different guise. Like I was saying, grave robbery is against the law, but if you call it archaeology, it's legal. You know, child sacrifice is against the law, but what do they call it today? They call it abortion. This is 2 Kings 16:1. It says, in the 17th year of Pekah, the son of Remaliah, Ahaz, the son of Jotham, king of Judah, began to reign. 20 years old was Ahaz when he began to reign, and reigned 16 years in Jerusalem, and did not that which was right in the sight of the Lord his power, like David his father. It says, but he walked in the way of the kings of Israel, yea, and made his sons to pass through the fire. Yeah, child sacrifice, according to the abominations of the heathen. Yeah, this is what these other nations were keeping up, and they're promoting these things today, and we're still partaking. It says, whom the Lord cast out before the children of Israel. Yeah, 2 Kings 21:1. Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 50 and 5 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Hephzibah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. Salakia. Yes, lucky Israel. Says, where was I? It says, and he did, 2 Kings 21:2, and he did that was evil in sight of the Lord after the abominations of the heathen, whom the Lord cast out before the children of Israel. For he built up again the high places which Hezekiah his father had destroyed, and he reared up altars for Baal, and made a grove, and did Ahab, as did Ahab king of Israel, and worshipped all the hosts of heaven and served them. And he built altars in the house of the Lord, of which the Lord said, in Jerusalem I will put my name. And he built altars for all the hosts of heaven in the two courts of the Lord. Verse 6, and he made his sons pass through the fire, and observed times, and used enchantments, and dealt with familiar spirits and wizards. He wrought much wickedness in the sight of the Lord to provoke him to anger. And that's what our people are doing when they're doing these abortions, which is another form of child sacrifice, man. Salakia, we are provoking the Most High to anger. Now, like I read before, there's nothing new under the sun. There's a saying, same style, different fashion. We're just doing the same thing, but differently and under a different name. This is 2 Corinthians 5:10. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of the Mashiach, that everyone may receive the things done in his body, according to that he has done, whether it be good or bad. So we're all going to have to account for what we've done, man. Remember, the scripture says that all souls are mine. Like, we don't belong to ourselves. We belong to the Most High. Our bodies is meant to be the temple of the Most High, and we have to deal with it in a manner which is pleasing to him. If not, we're going to be... Yeah, Salaka Israel. So come back again. I read this again. 2 Corinthians 5:10. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of the Mashiach, that everyone may receive the things done in his body according to that he has done, whether it be good or bad. And we have to remember that our bodies belong to the Most High. Our bodies are the temple of the Most High, and if we're not treating it right, the Most High is going to destroy us. So we shouldn't be partaking in these child sacrifices, man. Yeah, but just something I want to touch on. It's a topic I've seen a couple brothers touch, and I thought I'd cover it myself. But hopefully it was edifying. With that, I'm gonna close out. I'm gonna give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Maharaka Kadash, Kwame Allah.